Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today. This is Liz Hinlein. I'm the creative director at New York Film Academy, and this is the 2020 series. I am so beyond thrilled to have two wonderful friends of mine, Denis O'Hare,
Hi there.
one of the most brilliant actors, writers of this century, and brilliant genius filmmaker, Sarah Pirozek. We are coming from my bunker in Bushwick, Brooklyn. Sarah, where are you at?
I'm up in Woodstock, New York, home of the Woodstock Film Festival.
And Denis?
I am in the 8th arrondissement of Paris, in France.
So it's very, very fancy. And so while we've been doing this film game, you know, I've been thinking a lot about creativity. I've been writing, I've been doing things, but I also just want to learn. And I really would love to learn from these other two creatives about how they deal with creativity and how they deal with making projects and how they deal with compromise. And both recently have had films that came out that they were part of, both executive producing and writing. Sarah directed her feature, #Like, and Denis wrote and feature, Parting Glass. So what was the balance of with wearing all those hats in those indie films? What was the balance between creativity and compromise?
Do you want to go ahead, Sarah?
Well, let's go back and forth because we both talked a lot about both of our films, and I think what's the two different things between the part #Like is that #Like is a noir genre thriller fiction, whereas Denis's film Parting Glass is a very moving story, a real story based on his personal experience. So, you know, I can talk about creative kinds, etc. And, you know, Denis also.
Just jumping on that for a second, Sarah. There is an interesting thing about something that is real, meaning I was writing about my real family, my real life. There was a certain power as a writer when I had to negotiate with producers and directors when I would say, hey, that's what happened, okay? That's what happened. That's what she said. That's what the person actually, I don't believe that somebody would, and I would go, excuse me, that is what she actually did. That's real life. And there was a great power in that. It was amazing, which you don't have when you're just writing something fictional for your play, your piece. Somebody would say, oh, I don't think the girl would do that. And you have to say, well, I do. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. And at one point, actors saying something like that. And there was a scene, I know that he had to do something to drive him to the next piece of action, the next saying, babe, in the end, what you have to do is you have to figure out how to make this work for you as an actor because it's in the script. That's why. And, you know, I respect the impulse to make it real for yourself as an actor, but then, you know, at a certain point, you have to figure out how to make it work for you. I don't know. Maybe you could talk about that a little bit. You are so experienced.
Well, you know, speaking of that, it's the impulse for creation, I think, is also one of the things I love to talk about. And part of my movie, The Parting Glass, I wrote because it happened to me. My sister killed herself. She committed suicide. I wrote a long email to a bunch of friends. They didn't want to write the same email 15 times, so I just wrote one email explaining exactly what happened. And that email became the basis for the script, which is really bizarre. And then I went back and I just recreated the events of that weekend about when we went to recover my sister's goods from her apartment and sort of tried to figure out why she killed herself, my whole family. And that became a therapy because I needed to go through it and I needed to get it down. And then once you write the script, that's what, 1/20th of the process? So then it was the process of selling it to other people. And then was the process of getting the right director and producer aboard, which I got very lucky with Stephen Moyer and Cerise Larkin and Anna Paquin. And then it's the process of getting the actors on board. And, at one point I had Brian Denny, I had Amy Ryan, I was going after, Phil Hoffman, and then life intervenes or death intervenes. So then I was at Paul Giamatti, and he was going to do it, and I lost Paul. And I ended up with Cynthia Nixon, Melissa Leo, Risa Fans, Ed Asner, who's a genius.
Amazing.
And Anna Paquin, and myself. And, and then, of course, you have to make the thing. So then you're making the thing. And then, of course, you have to edit the thing. And then you have to resell the thing. So writing it is, like, as I say, it's 1/20th of the process. And all those other steps are the rest of the process. And each one of those steps is fraught with the idea of, negotiation and working together and giving up certain things. And it never ends. And this sounds really stupid, and I'm going to say it anyway. Until I made this movie, and I've written plays, and I've been in plays, and I've written books, until I made this movie, I never really got that movies are collaborative. I mean, I understood that, but when you write it, you kind of go, this isn't my movie. It's not my script. It's not my movie. It's not my movie. It is the movie made by the guy who did the music and the woman who did the brilliant job on the sets and the DP. How much of the movie is the DP? A half? 60%? And the director and his ideas. And, I've got a healthy ego. I wrote the thing and I'm in the thing, but it's not my movie. And that was really freaky for me.
But then also, if we're going to touch down on that compromise thing, absolutely, you have to have, it's an interesting mix because you have to, as a creative, have an incredibly strong ego, but then you also have to be able to tell that you to take a back seat. So you have to be strong enough to be able to go, I'm going to weigh up when I can fight for something that I think is correct. And when I go, that's just my ego talking.
Yeah.
I don't need to win an argument. What I need to do is do the right thing for the project. And that always goes first. So that's really interesting.
So where, sorry guys, I had some weird dropout. This is the compromise of this tech. So where in the process though, because it does become this overwhelming, you have your vision, you want to get your movie made, you have to also super believe in it. And then it's where in the process did you realize that there was going to be collaboration, and that you have to actually sometimes zip it for the better of the project?
I mean, funny thing is that I also am a playwright, and I work exclusively with another writer, Lisa Peterson. We always are a duo. We always collaborate. The work is completely shared. We've written now 3 plays, an Iliad, which we performed a lot in New York and all over the world. I played a good book about the Bible, which we did in Chicago and Berkeley Rep, and our new play about the fall of Rome, called The Song of Rome. We don't know what the play is going to be. The play is the push and pull, the tug of war between Lisa and I. Mm-hmm. And what we start with is not what we end up with.
Really?
And on any given day, my very cherished ideas just fall by the wayside. And any given day, the thing that she advocates for, that I may say in the back of my mind, I don't think that's a good idea, we end up doing it. And either it's a brilliant idea, or she a month later goes, you know what? I don't think it's a really good idea. And I go, you know what? I wanted to wait to see what would happen. It would be a good idea. But we've gotten to the point now where we don't know who wrote what. We don't remember what line. I'll see a line and I go, oh my God, that line is so beautiful. And she'll go, you wrote it. And I'll go, no, you wrote it. That's not my line. That's your line. We don't know anymore. And that to me is, the great thing about collaboration is that ultimately it is about the end result. It's about the third leg of the stool, creation that you two make. In our case, 2 of us make.
And it can be just so satisfying. Actually, that's what I did when I first found film. I'm sure you guys had that thing where you realize that there's a whole entity bigger than the 2 of you or the 5 of you or the 30 of you.
Like a marriage.
And it's like that idea then drives it. That's when it's most beautiful. Do you find when you switch between an actor head or a writer head or a producer head that you take on, are you the same person, or does suddenly you have a click in your mind and think about money or think about how am I going to play the part?
Well, Sarah, you were financier, writer, director, producer. How are you kind to yourself?
I was very kind to myself when I could go, that's getting cropped out of the script. Because I was just like, my producer came in, my producer hat went on, and I was like, you know what? That scene's going to be really pretty. It's going to look great. And I bet you when we get in the edit room, we're going to cut it out. So why don't we just be a grown up now, put our big girl pants on and cut it out of the script? And as the director, I was like kicking around, and the writer kicking around even more, fighting myself. But then I was like, when I cut it out, I was like so relieved. And you know when it feels right. I mean, Denis, when you're, and Liz too, when you're editing, you can talk about an edit endlessly, right? But then you just go to the editor, why don't we just do it? And we'll see it. And then you both look at it together and you go, he or she says, oh, that's great. I didn't expect it to be. And you just know it. You feel it, right? So doing things instead of talking about them is often the best way to try it. I mean, as an actor, you probably had that experience, Denis, many times when you go, oh, can we try it a different way, right? I'd love to hear about how you do that.
Well, it's funny, you know, I'm a very old-fashioned actor. I'm Stanislavski trained, and it's a very rigorous sort of character-based work. It's not me-based; it's character-based. So Stanislavski says basically, according to my teacher, you're not interesting; the character's interesting. So, and I believe that. So, you know, but when I'm in a room in a theater setting or even in a film setting, as an actor, my job is to figure out how to interpret what's written. My job is not to rewrite. I don't rewrite on the set. I don't rewrite on television. I don't rewrite on movies. I don't make suggestions. I don't cut lines. I don't change words. If I'm paraphrasing, I'm being lazy. If I'm paraphrasing, I'm not understanding it. By the way, I paraphrase all the time. I don't mean to, but I make mistakes. My goal is to honor the words and figure out, why does that character say that word? What am I missing that I keep making a mistake and not saying that line properly? Maybe it is the line.
It's something in your head, yeah.
The other thing is, the best thing I can do for a director, for a producer, and for a writer as an actor is to show them what they want. If I think it's wrong, go 100%, show them what they asked you to do, and then they'll go, oh, yeah, okay, you know what? Blah. That's bad. Sorry, we're going to change it. But they have to see it to know. You know,
it's like the edit. It's like the edit. Yeah.
So
and
you're not
you can do it. Like I just have to do one little shout out of fanning on Denis, because we were old friends. We've known each other many years.
Yeah.
He's a true actor's actor. And I think a lot of the time when we see him in, you know, TV shows and movies, he's cast as this very sort of serious person a lot, apart from maybe the King of Mississippi in True Blood. But I have to just shout out Take Me Out, the play, the Greenberg play. Amazing. I've never seen you so funny, so vulnerable, so hysterical. So yeah, we're going to work on writing you a very funny part soon.
Thank you. And I met Sarah years ago and she was living in Alphabet City. You were on Avenue B or you were on A?
I was on A, yeah.
You were on A, in that very interesting apartment. And you had just done this crazy movie about a transgender person, I think. And your living situation was interesting. And I just met you and I'm like, wow, this is very New York. New York.
Sarah was the ultimate New York, and especially when she was doing the Beastie Boys movie.
Very New York.
You know, super ahead of the curve. You know, nice girl from the UK living in, like, when it was way back in the day. You know, cool back in the day.
Yeah.
Interesting. No, New York was a crazy, fun place. It was a crazy fun place. Can I just pivot a little bit and be slightly not gossipy, but like industry gossipy? Because Denis has not worked. I've just made a list earlier and thinking about people you'd worked with. You've worked with George Clooney. You've worked with Evan Rachel Wood. You've worked with Laura Linney. You've worked with Angelina Jolie, like amazing people. Alexander Skarsgård, who I actually met my actor in my film through because I was talking about how funny you thought he was. So it was a fun, great way to meet him.
He's
But,
lovely.
can you talk about like maybe doing a scene with George Clooney? What does that feel like? Is it great? Do you just put your actor's hats on, or do you ever have that moment where you feel like, oh, this is George Clooney or Angelina?
You know, I feel incredibly lucky in that all of my experiences with all of those people have been positive, and I have been really, really impressed with their level of preparedness and professionalism. So just to give you a small story, you know, if you're off screen and someone's doing a dialogue and it's 2 a.m. as an actor and they're turning around on you, you may say to your other actor, go home. I got this, for real. You know, we've been here all day. We've done so many shots of this. It's just 2 lines. I'm looking at you and I'm saying, I'll get the door and I'm leaving. I don't need you. Go. So I did a movie with Julia Roberts and she was not called to the set because they didn't think she needed to be there for some off-screen lines. When she found out, she was livid. Because she was like, I don't do that. I am off screen for my other actors. I will never do that to anybody. I want to be there for them. And that's the kind of spirit I've seen in all of these big names. They're off book, they're memorized, they've worked hard, they come ready to go. They give awesome performances on take 1, take 2, take 3. I've never experienced somebody who is slumming or somebody who's not ready to go. For these people, I have to say, I've experienced it in television from younger actors who think that they are God's gift to the world and were given too big a part too early. And they're on their cell phone and they're texting and they're your coverage and the camera's on you and they're not with you, they're on their phone.
And what do you do with that? And what do you do at that point, Dennis?
Yeah.
You know what? I just do my job for the most part, but I have at other times called off and kind of going, hi, I just give you a line. Hello, still on the clock. You know what I mean? It's like, and because part of it's that I am their elder and I have to teach them. We have this weird thing in the industry where we don't think anybody needs to be taught anything. That, you know, we just show up with our talent and we go. Nuh-uh. It's a craft. It's a craft in terms of how we do it, and it's a political craft and how we behave on the set. So when I did True Blood, I was number whatever on the call sheet. I don't know, 13, 19, whatever it was. Anna Paquin is number 1. Anna Paquin came to set early every single time, ready to go every single time. So don't you dare be late. When I was working with Kathy Bates, I made sure I got to set before she got to set because I don't want to make her wait. I don't want to be the guy who makes Kathy Bates wait or Jessica Lange wait.
Dennis, let me ask you this. I have a question. So there's, you know, especially with the younger actors, there's a thing of like, oh, they don't need to be trained, or, you know, some of them do have an, especially they came from, say, modeling. You know what I mean? What do you say to these younger actors, or they want to do, the other thing I see with younger actors, because they don't want to look like lame or like losers, they want to underplay it so much because they don't want to show emotions because then they'll look silly. What would a director say to them so they feel confident that they can really release and be present on screen as opposed to so staring at themselves?
I mean, here's my reaction. Sometimes the script calls for it to be underplayed. Sometimes the style of the piece asks for everybody to be underplayed, and that's brilliant. If every time you're on camera you're underplaying, you're probably not reading the script. You're creating a brand for yourself, and that's not doing the character. Again, I'm a character actor, so it's a little different. My job is to be the character 100%. If I were a romantic lead, it may be more about brand. It may be more about being the version of me in this movie, the version of me in that movie. In which case, there may be something, you know, years ago, I think it was Steve McQueen said to somebody, I'm dating myself now, Steve McQueen wouldn't say that. And they were like, well, he goes, yeah, no, Steve McQueen wouldn't say that. So he was referring to himself in the third person because he was aware of the brand of Steve McQueen. So I definitely get when actors have boxed themselves in for whatever reason and don't want to embarrass themselves. I would just say, do what the script asks you to do. If the script says she falls out of her chair, uncontrollably weeping and can't breathe, do it. Do it. Find out what that does to you. If you choose not to do that, you're a coward.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think the self-consciousness of younger actors is obviously a failing for them because they're not getting to experience the breadth of their ability. And, maybe because you come from theater, did that give you the groundwork where you felt like you could rehearse and you could try? Because I wanted to ask you about preparing, how you prepare and how you rehearse. Did theater allow you that space that when you went to film and television, especially indie film where you don't have time like television, you already have the craft?
Well, I'll put it back to you guys, because now, to defend the actors on the other side, there aren't very many directors out there in the heat of the moment in television who can help an actor. So if you don't come with your own game plan, you're probably not going to be helped. So I understand an actor saying, this is what I'm going to do. This is my comfort zone. I'm not going to go out of it, because oftentimes you're not going to get the kind of help you need to get you there. In a film with an auteur, or in a situation where you're very comfortable with the filmmaker maybe has cast you and you have been talking to them and rehearsing, that's different. But when you walk onto a set in TV and you're a day player, you're not going to get direction. You're going to get, do it again. Okay, do it again. Move over there. Your hand is here. Stop it. You have to have your own thing going, your own sense of how you behave. So what I just said is all true, but then it's also true that the reality that young actors walk into is that they're not going to get a good director who's going to be able to help them act. Right. They're going to get many times people who are DPs who got pushed up to director, or a writer who's being a director, and they don't even know how to talk to an actor. They have no idea how to help that poor actor do it. They just go, honey, you're doing a weird thing with your chin. I'm not doing anything with your chin. I'm trying to feel the emotion. Yeah, but you're
well, they're taking you from being the character into the actor. And so I two questions on that is, do you find that the TV, because the TV directors are in a revolving door a bit and some are traffic cops, do you have to over prepare to anticipate that?
I think preparation is always key for everything. I was doing this thing for American Gods recently, and I was talking to an actor, Linda Eamon, who was a brilliant actor, and she was talking about all the notebooks she writes in before she does her performances on a TV show. She did, I can't remember the name of the show now. It'll kill me. Anyway, Log Cabin. Oh God, everyone's laughing at me now. Anyway, I'll find it. It's for AMC. And the younger actor said, what are you doing? She said, I'm writing down my character work. I'm writing down what I'm thinking. I'm writing down my motivation. And I realized, my God, I haven't done that on this show. So I went that night in a hotel room and I thought about my lines and I thought about what I was doing. I thought about why I did the things I did. Guess what? It informed the next day's shooting. I didn't get much from the director. He was a great director. I loved him. He didn't have time. We're shooting a battle scene with dying light in Canada in the winter with chainmail and green screen. He doesn't have time to listen to me go, so am I worried about my son and his heritage? For me to figure out. And I did figure it out. I was so glad that I was shamed into doing my basic work by my friend, who just reminded me that that's what I have to do. You can't do too much work. You can't prepare too much. You can do the wrong work. You can do the wrong preparation, but it all feeds in.
What does the wrong preparation look like?
Good question.
So I'll just take an example. I'm doing Liz Taylor in American Horror Story. I don't really know who the character is. I'm just given a brief outline. What I'm given is someone who is possibly transgender or possibly a drag queen. I don't know. Turns out she was transgender. That was not apparent at the beginning for anybody, including the writers. That developed. So I went down a little rabbit hole of, well, what does she do as a man? Does she change at night? Does she be a male part of her life? So I explored that for a while. Is she a cabaret singer? Is she a drag queen? Watching more RuPaul than I needed to. I love RuPaul. Watching reruns, None of that applied because this is a person who thought of herself as female. So she wasn't in that world. Her journey was about trying to stay true to herself and trying to navigate the outside world. It was a discrimination, a bias, and acceptance journey, not for her. She accepted herself, but everybody else. So I was down a wrong path, you know, and even in shooting, at one point I had a line, this great line. It was like, ponchos are forever, you know, fringe is out, ponchos are forever. And I did it in a really sassy, funny way. And Ryan Murphy said, no, she's deadly serious. She's deadly serious. This is no
Interesting.
And I was kind of shamed and like, whoa, but I did it his way. And it opened up a whole character trait. I went, oh my God, that's who she is. Again, I was trying to get a laugh. I was trying to be funny. She doesn't try to be funny. She doesn't need to be funny. That's not where she gets her validation. She doesn't need anybody to approve of her. So making those mistakes, you know, making the wrong research, having Ryan correct me. And there's an example where a director saved my ass. Ryan Murphy, you know, gave me the exact right piece of direction at the exact right moment. And he put me on a path that I never fell off of again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And talk to us about, because both Sarah and I are directors, of the efficiency of direction for an actor. Just that he didn't go into your character, he didn't go to backstory, he didn't go anywhere. He gave you one actable, intentional piece of advice.
My favorite direction ever from a director was Dan Sullivan. I did a play called Major Barbara with him, Cherry Jones on Broadway. And he said, hey, Dennis, you know that thing you're doing when you come in and you hit the globe? Yeah, don't. Yeah. Many times the direction is, don't do that.
And so what do you say to that? What do you say to that? You just go, okay.
Boss. I go, okay. I hear you.
Do you ever ask why?
You know, I think it's always legitimate if you don't understand. If you do understand and you're being a smart aleck, why are you asking why?
Right.
You know, ultimately, the person behind the camera looking at that monitor, if they're probably trying to take care of you. They're rarely trying to hurt you. They're rarely trying to undermine you.
Everyone wants to lift you up, to make you feel good.
You know, in all honesty, if I'm doing a take and I'm like this the whole take, it may feel great for me. And you may be like, eyes, give me some eyes. So you may say, honey, can we get to that? Can we, you know? It's a weird thing. It's a compromise between what I'm feeling, back to the younger actors, what I'm feeling and what you guys need. You need to see my eyes. If you can't see my eyes, you're missing so much information that this shot only lasts for 5 seconds before it gets really boring. This is really boring, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So on that,
how do you talk to an actor when the actor doesn't get what you want 5 times in a row? What do you think to yourself when you say the same direction 5 times and nothing changes? What do you think? What do you do?
Well, I try to say it in many different ways because I sometimes have to ask people, can you say that again in a different way? It's just like maybe words aren't computing. Sarah, what do you do?
Well, I can think of one example, 2 examples maybe from my film when I was working with Mark Menchaca, who was an amazing, amazing actor. If you haven't seen him in Ozark and The Outsider, the new Stephen King thing on HBO, run and see it. He's incredible.
He's in The Sinner too.
He and The Sinner, yeah. He's incredible. There was a moment when he was so interior because he was playing, and he's very good at, a painful moment. And he's one of the actors that I appreciate so much because he does almost nothing, and then he just does a little something, and it's great. And you never want to make someone broad, but there was one moment where it's such a chamber piece, the film, but I needed him to just be a little bit more heightened. And of course, you don't tell an actor, be more heightened, you know. Mm-hmm. So I created a scenario that I said, you don't know who's coming down those stairs. Can you just imagine the scariest, most horrible thing is coming down that stair at you and you don't know what it is right now? And the speed was the same, the lines were the same, the action was the same, but the total intention and intensity, because he was trying to figure out who's coming down these stairs.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It gave me
you gave him a great active thing to play. Mm-hmm. You didn't say, be bigger. You didn't say, be more scared. Mm-hmm. You basically you reminded him of looking at the stairs and waiting to see. That's a very actable thing.
Really great. Really great. I wanted to ask you, Dennis, on that, when you're working in an ensemble piece like you did in your in The Parting Glass, how do you approach it when you have, especially such a stellar cast around you, and everybody has how does an actor sort of help that?
I feel lucky in that for the most part, when I act, I never feel like it's a competition. I feel like everybody is there for a reason. Everybody is going to be featured. If you have a line, the editor is probably going to be on your face. And on the stage, you can upstage somebody. You can steal focus in the stage. It's hard to steal focus in the film if the filmmaker knows what they want to do. So it doesn't have to be a competition. And if you all are sharing the same goal, if you like each other, if you respect each other, all of that makes the working environment so much better. That movie there was never any day when there was any issue of, I don't know, we all got along beautifully. We loved each other. There was tension. We definitely had fights over certain things. There was definitely bad feelings here and there, but none of it had to do with anything other than we're all striving to do the best possible work we can for this thing. There was never any shenanigans. There was never any bad behavior. It was all about, no, I think the moment's about this, and I think we're missing that. Melissa Leo, for instance, is just an amazing actor. And
amazing.
At one point, just by complete bad luck, we hadn't covered her in a shot. We have no time. It's a crazy set. We have so many people. She didn't get coverage. She didn't say anything all day. And finally she said, I think you're going to really regret at the end of the day if we don't have that reaction shot on that line. And we go, God, of course.
Right.
So wasn't ego. It wasn't, she obviously thought about it.
The project, yeah.
They're going to want that. And guess what? That reaction shot, it comes in a scene late in the movie in a hotel room, is like a linchpin. It sets up what happens next. It's so key. She's smart enough as an actor to see the whole film and to see the whole scene and go, that character, my character, needs to be seen at that moment because she's telling the audience something.
Right. No, exactly.
Were you involved in the casting in that at all?
Casting in a movie like that, an indie movie, is basically you're asking great people and hoping they say yes. And we got lucky. We didn't get our first choice, but first choice doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean like that person was better or worse. That's the first person we thought of. They said no, and then we went, oh my God, it's a better idea. So, that kind of casting is just about thinking of a brilliant person and just hoping and praying that they'll say yes.
And with great, amazing actors with your history and repertoire, what makes you say, besides your own film that you wrote, what would make you say yes to a smaller film with, not George Clooney?
I say yes to anything. I'll say yes to anything. I'm not even joking. I will say yes to anything. I love doing student film. I love doing film. I love helping people if I can. I did a movie called Swallow by Carla Miller Davis, which is turning out to be this, hit.
It is.
And I said yes to it because I love the script. I thought it was beautiful. No, my part, I liked my part a lot. I love the whole script. I love the actor, and I met him, and I liked him, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it for you. And, there was no dressing room. There wasn't a whole lot of craft service. We had to bring our own food. Who cares? I don't care. When we shot, we were in a flight path. So my incredibly intense scene at the back with Haley, we had to shoot it, and I put my finger up when I heard the plane and just stay in the moment and then go like that and just keep rolling. I didn't want to cut. It's nobody's fault. I'm not going to get mad. Everyone's at the same thing. But I've done so many small films like that. Matthew Newton, a movie called From Nowhere, a beautiful movie. I'll do anything if I like the filmmaker, if the script is good, if I like the idea. I've done a one-scene part from The Novitiate for Melissa Leo. for her movie. I've done one scene part here. I did 2 scene part in The Goldfinch because I adore John Crowley, and I wanted to be in that movie with him so much as a director, and Roger Deakins. You know, I mean, I did 1 scene with George Clooney. That's a 1 scene part basically in Michael Clayton. But because I love the filmmaker and I love the movie. But by the same token, you know, if I'm asked to do something which I read in a schlock, I'll do it if you pay me a lot of money.
That's the compromise.
Exactly. And Sam Jackson said, snakes on a plane bought him a nice house, and he likes to look at that.
Yeah. I'll work for $1,000. I'll work for $1,000 if I like the script. You know what I mean?
Wow.
That's why we have agents. We have agents because actors will do stupid things like that. That's why we have agents, to stop us from going, okay, all right.
I mean, your passion is so, both of you, your passions are just so beautiful, and you know, because filmmaking is, and theater and creating craft with others is hard. It's not a walk in the park, and just it is so it just is so uplifting to hear you guys just to talk about the craft and the excitement and making things. It's just such a beautiful, you know. Could you imagine yourself in either of you in any other field?
I mean, if we're talking alternative lives, then I would do something like own a gallery or be a
painter. You'd be royalty. Come on, you'd be royalty.
Exactly. Principessa. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Dennis, if you weren't an actor, writer, what would you be?
Well, I was going to be a priest.
What?
That's a order of sorts.
I was very serious about being a priest until I was about 17 or 18. I was very into it. I was into it since I was about 5 or 6. I was like serious about that. That was my thing. And ultimately, you know, I mean, I'm an atheist. That's a little bit of a problem. But I wasn't an atheist then. But, you know, I ultimately realized that my motivation was selfish, that I wanted to be left alone, and I wanted to sit and contemplate and not interact with humanity. Now, that actually isn't what priests do. They serve others. That their job is to serve others. So my motivation was wrong. But you know what? I like people. I like being around people. I like community. I like collaboration. I like being inspired by other people. I like battling with other people. So I'm in the right place. I can't imagine doing anything else. And, you know, my favorite projects in the world are ones that haven't succeeded. They haven't succeeded. I did a thing called Stephanie Daly with Tilda Swinton, and Tim Hutton is in it, and a little movie that was really cool, and Neil Huff's in it. Beautiful movie. It didn't go anywhere. I don't know what happened to it. It died. It just died, and I don't know why, and I'm so proud of it, and 5 people have seen it, and I'm so glad they got to see it. I hope more people get to see it. You know, at the end of the day, when you go to the grave, what are you proud of that you did? Are you proud of the 8 seasons on that family show on ABC that you hated, and you hated your co-star? You did for the because you got to drive to Burbank, you know? Or are you proud of the, you know, I did a movie for Omar Fest, who's a German-Israeli filmmaker, called At 20,000 Feet, about drone operators. And I was a drone operator in a hotel, like having kind of a therapy session. I love doing that thing. It was the craziest thing. And people email me and say, I saw that at the Venice Biennale. And I'm like, really? I did it because I love the idea and I loved him. That's it. And I love the fact that it touches people's lives. You know, what we're doing touches people's lives.
Right. Right.
You guys have been
I missed that. I never saw the Quentin Crisp thing you did.
Oh, that's a good movie. It's a nice little movie. An Englishman in New York. Yeah.
Right.
With John Hurt, you know? John Hurt.
Amazing.
Beautiful John Hurt. Yeah. That was a huge budget. My God. Woo.
Can you?
So guys, this has been, Sarah, I think we got to like wrap it up.
Wow. Done already.
We are, because we want it to be efficient and respectful of everyone's time. And, you know, thank you guys so much for doing the 2020 series. This has been like so fun. It's just like we're hanging out doing the thing, talking about craft, talking about creativity, and when you talk about it, it makes you more like it as opposed to, you know.
You inspired me today.
Yes, very. Both of you are super inspiring.
Yeah.
And we'll be airing next week, audience, with the prolific showrunner, director, Adam Bernstein, who's done every cool TV show you've probably ever seen. And I wanted to ask you, Dennis, if there was someone, if you could watch someone on this show, that we just want interesting people who have interesting ideas that we can just talk about craft and creativity with, who would that be?
Gosh, I love Shonda Rhimes. I love what she does. I love the fact that she makes so much content. I love that she is so imaginative. Forgive me for not knowing his last name off the top of my head. The Leftovers and The Watchmen, Damon Lindorf.
Right.
You know, I think his imagination is off the hook. I think the projects he's attracted to are off the hook. I love the stuff he does. I don't know. You know, I think we have so many people out there, 20s, 25s, 30s, who have a different way of thinking, and I want to hear them. I want someone to challenge me. I want someone to shake me up. I want someone to show me something different. I want to see a film made a different way. I want to see stories told a different way. I want to see acting done a different way. I'm down for learning. And I'm excited to hear that because, you know, the thing I always say to anybody who asks me advice, I say, don't wait, just do it. Don't wait. Write it, make it, shoot it, do it, do it.
Yep, exactly.
Dennis is a huge supporter of me and my film, and thank you again for that.
Yeah, I shot your trailer in the woods up in
you did.
That was funny.
It's funny. It's great.
And then
People can see it. So like the feature film, you'll see Dennis's little thing he did.
Yeah, it's funny.
Exactly. Hashtag like. Everyone go look at that. And you know, and that is what it's all about, is collaboration. Because you can't do this, you can't do it by yourself.
And you don't know what the collaborator is going to give you. You don't know what new idea will come into your head. You don't know what your own blind spots are until somebody may point them out to you. Just freshness. It's great to you got to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Well, au revoir.
Au revoir.
Bye. Thank you so much.
And Liz, thank you for the support.
And thank you, Naifa, for presenting the 2020 series.
Yes, and Katie behind the scenes.
Yes.
And Katie, shout out.